The following is a presentation from the MJCast, the internet's premier podcast on all things Michael Jackson.
I'm a Black American. I am proud of who I am.
Together, we can make a change in the world. I want to see you!
I like to take sounds and put them under the microscope.
There's a driving bass, you become the bass. Let the music write itself.
I don't sing it if I don't mean it.
Welcome to the MJCast, your source of news, discussion, and interviews on the King of Pop.
Hello and welcome to the MJCast. This is your host, Elise Capron, signing in from Studio San Diego, and I'm so excited today to host a chat about all the latest news around Michael Jackson and the Jackson family. Today we have an amazing group of what I consider our true MJCast family. First of all, we have co-founder of the MJCast and longtime host of the show, Jamon Bull. Jamon, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm great. Thanks. Really excited to be here.
Awesome. So good to hear your voice. And we have our other co-founder of the show, the original MJ caster, Q. Q, hello, hello.
Hello from Studio Perth listeners. It's been a little while. Maybe you did hear me on something shorter recently, but for a full episode, it has been a while and it is wonderful to be hanging out with y'all.
We love hearing your voice, Q.
Thank you.
Next, on the Australian side of the world, we have Charlie Carter, our audio editor and occasional co-host. Hey, Charlie.
Good morning from Casa de Carter, Studio Sydney. We've got three of the major cap cities here in Australia covered, Brisbane, Sydney and Perth. How good are we? Sorry, Melbourne.
Poor Melbourne.
I always tell people whenever I finally get there, I'm just going to have a tour guide for every city.
You really will. You've got that covered.
You need to book about 6 weeks, I reckon.
Yep.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Next, in the other part of the globe, we have Charlie Thomson. Hello, Charlie. How are you doing on this late Saturday evening, your time?
It is late. Yeah, I'm okay. Thank you. I hope you're all well.
We are great. And then last but not least, in my own country, we have the wonderful Shawn Shackelford. Hey, Shawn, how are you doing?
I am doing well. How are you guys doing? It's great to be back on.
We are so excited to have you.
Do we get to play the Shackelford theme song at this point?
Oh, let's do it. Do it.
Here is the
Shackelfords. We are the Shackelfords. Shawn, Phil, Renee, Olivia, Violet. Let's go.
Let's go. Love it.
We need to get your whole family on the recording to do like a MJCast version of it.
Yes.
That would be so cute.
that could be used as like an intro. We are the Shacklefords and you are listening to the MJCast.
Oh
Exactly.
my gosh.
We should do an MJCast version. We are the MJCast.
Hey.
Love it.
Oh my gosh, I love it. We need to do a little video too and get you guys all matching shirts. You guys are like the cutest family I've ever seen, truly. Well, this is really, really fun. And again, I feel like we have kind of our core family here on this episode today, which is really special. And I have to tell you, listeners, it is a feat getting all these time zones and schedules worked out. So I am just thrilled that we're doing this today. And we have a lot of news to cover. It's been a while since we did a regular news episode. So we're going to try to get through things quickly and lots more to come, I should say, too. I mean, yeah, the trailers dropped. So we've got the biopic coming up. There's going to be a lot of news in the next 6 months. So we will try to keep you guys posted regularly. First, though, before we dive into the news, I wanted to open the show with just a brief tribute to a really dear friend and someone who many of you in the fan community know and have interacted with. She was a personal friend of mine and of others in this group as well. And I want to give my love and a little shout out to everyone who knew and appreciated the wonderful Roberta Martin. She was a really, really special fan and friend. She was at every Southern California event. She was a dear, dear friend to many. She also had incredible Michael Jackson experiences, such as she attended Motown 25, which we never got her on the show to tell that story. And I terribly, terribly regret it. But she was the kindest, most wonderful person. She managed to meet everyone. I mean, Prince knows who she is. You know, she was everywhere all the time and was a gleaming light at every gathering she attended. So this is just to send a little shout out her way. She also died, I think, before her time. She should have been with us a lot longer. So to those of you who knew her, I send you my love and condolences, and just wanted to share some memories of or just thoughts around how much she was appreciated. And Charlie Thomson, I know you knew Roberta a bit too. I don't know if you wanted to jump in with anything about her.
Yeah, I can't claim I was Roberta's best friend or anything. Of course, we lived on opposite sides of the planet, but I did meet her on several occasions, and I echo what you're saying, which is that she was a really, really, truly lovely woman. And you're right, she's died a lot sooner than she should have. She should have had a lot more years in her, and it's very, very sad.
Yeah, so I know she touched a lot of people's hearts, and we really miss her, and I know the fan community will not be the same without her. I want to especially send my thoughts out to Maria and Konstantinos, who were very dear friends with her, along with many, many others. So anyway, we're thinking of you, Roberta. I hope you're up there with the King of Pop, dancing and having a great time, and all that good stuff. We actually have another loss we do need to talk about as well, but it has an interesting story attached to it. So we'll kind of dive into news items now. So another recent passing that I know affected a lot of people is D'Angelo passed away, and of course, iconic musician and did a lot of important things. And there's a good story with this. Whoever would like to chime in.
I guess back in the late 2007, 8, or 9, Michael recorded Hot Fun in the Summertime, the Sly and the Family Stone, featuring D'Angelo, Mary J. Blige, and Jesse Johnson, the former guitarist for The Time. And it never was released. But back in 2014, Jesse Johnson came on Facebook and really kind of went on a rant about how it was ready for release and how it should have been released. And so hopefully one day it will be released. But D'Angelo was definitely a huge talent, very talented guy. I remember I worked in a record store when Brown Sugar came out, and it just flew off the shelves. It was a great album. And so at some point, I'm hoping that Hot Fun in the Summertime will be released and we can hear it in its full glory.
I only know one person actually who's heard it, and that's friend of the show, Casey Rain, who's mentioned on social media, little bits and pieces of what it sounds like. But being one of Michael's final recordings, I would absolutely love to hear that song at some point.
Yeah, and Jesse Johnson talked about, and I'm reading directly from his post. He says, as far as I'm concerned, we did finish the song titled Hot Fun in the Summertime. And I guess he was referencing that it should have been on the Michael album. So,
yes.
So that's, he had a very strong opinion. He said, what I wrote is 1,000% accurate and factual. So, hopefully we'll hear it one day.
Absolutely.
Another thing locked up in a vault.
Yep. Yeah, there's a lot there. Speaking of things locked up in vaults, which maybe we'll hear at some point, there has been a reveal from Mariah Carey about an unreleased duet with Michael Jackson, delayed by estate plans. Surprise, surprise. The estate, holding things off this year with the biopic coming off. They've postponed many things, it seems. So she shared that she has an unreleased duet with MJ that she had hoped to include on her latest album, but she explained that the song could not be released due to an ongoing project by Michael Jackson's estate. So we don't know too much more than that. She was quoted as saying, "It's not in the vault, it's right there, and it's ready for release," which would be somewhat, surprising that it has been held, I think, this long if it's actually ready for release. But who would like to chime in here? Any thoughts around this?
I'd be excited to hear it. Two of the greatest voices ever, really, especially in sort of recent music history. So I would be excited to hear that. I have a little theory, just a guess, that maybe they did the duet together of I'll Be There, because that was the song Mariah covered in the 90s, was it? I think.
Correct.
Yep. So big hit for both artists, huge hit for both artists, really. So why not turn that into a duet? That's just my little theory of which track it would be, because they did allude, Mariah alluded to that it was sort of an older song that they did a version of, like not a new song. That was the impression I got from the little interview clip. And my guess would be it would be I'll Be There. And if that was it, I would be very excited to hear that. I think it would be an amazing song, amazing duet.
I mean, with that in mind, do we think, why am I even asking this question? Do we think that the estate is actually holding other potentially exciting things to release some projects like this after the movie is out and hopefully takes the world by storm? I don't know. That's the never-ending question, I suppose.
That would be the dream scenario, that you're hoping that they realize the buzz of this film is huge and the time to drop anything of good quality would be to ride that wave. Like, that would be the ideal situation. Yeah. I don't have much faith that they have planned that far ahead. It would be a surprise if they did do that. For me, it would be a shock. But that would be the ideal thing. Like, we know that sort of Taj's thing has been slowed down, and there's probably some other maybe collaborative projects that they've had to slow down not to interfere with the release of this biopic film.
I have a fan theory, if you'd like to hear it.
Yes.
Of course. It is a fan podcast.
Absolutely.
This is kind of like a bit of a best case scenario dream for me, but we'll see if it happens. So we know from other times that the estate have released films, aka This Is It, they had a song at the end over the credits that was a unique song that people hadn't heard before. You know, the song This Is It, where they got the brothers back in to do the harmonies over it as well. And I can't remember if they released it as a proper single, but you know, it was certainly exciting to hear at the time, you know, a new song over the credits of a film. And so I think if they do that again, I reckon they'll also release a soundtrack, right? I'm sure that the film will have a soundtrack, and it might be just like a best of MJ type thing.
Right.
But it would be the perfect opportunity to have a single, to have a new song on the soundtrack, and to have something going over the credits as well. So if it is I'll Be There, which I think there's a good chance of, because from memory, Mariah also performed that at his memorial. You know, if the film is going to focus heavily on the Jackson 5 Jackson's era, because it'll just be the part one, I think it would make sense if they do have a recording in the vault of Michael and Mariah singing I'll Be There. I also think there's a really strong chance it might be She's Out of My Life, because from memory, the two of them were rehearsing for the MJ and Friends concert in 1999. And they were pretty close for those few years between 99 and about 2002. And I think, if my memory serves correct, they were rehearsing for that show. It could be that. Who knows if there's a studio recording of that, or even if it's just like a live rehearsal recording.
Perhaps it's something that someone like Brad Sundberg might have some insight on.
Yeah, that's right. We could reach out to him.
Do we know when it was recorded? Because I've seen reports that it could have possibly been recorded back in the early 90s. So could it possibly be a brand new track that we've never heard, or excuse me, a track that, you know, is just written for the two of them?
Possibility.
Possibly. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think there are any duets on Dangerous, are there? Whereas there was on Thriller and there was on Bad, and, you know, maybe there was, you know, something that he was working on for the Dangerous album with Mariah. It's all speculation at the moment until Mariah actually comes out and says, this is the track.
Right. And that is a good point. There were duets on Thriller, Bad, but not Dangerous. Right. So they could have been working on something there.
I guess we'll just have to wait and see. I feel like if it was going to be a brand new track, that would have been highlighted, but maybe not.
And some fans walked away thinking that, based on the MJ Vibe article, which was written in a way that was, well, I think, kind of a little bit misleading in the way it said fans that have heard the song describe it as one of his classics. Like, some people heard that and thought, oh, that must mean the song is so good it's going to be a classic. I think it's just what she said. I think the literal interpretation is she did a duet with him of one of his classics, which would make me think it's, you know, She's Out of My Life, I'll Be There, or something like that.
Yep.
Hopefully we'll find out at some point. And actually, on that front, speaking of other possible projects maybe we'll see in the next year, Also, not a lot of information about this one, but there is apparently a tribute album to Michael's Ireland sessions moving forward with quote unquote global stars. I mean, this is interesting in terms of the fact that, of course, the time Michael Jackson spent in Ireland is, a really interesting one that a lot of us, are always, keen to learn more about. This is promising. Well, we've been hearing about this for months. I believe it's been like this kind of whole year has been percolating, but this will, quote, bring to life the songs Michael Jackson worked on during his time in Ireland and when he was there for 5 months, and some of the biggest names in the entertainment industry joined him. So those sessions were, of course, never completed before he left. But now the studio owner, who has the very Irish name of Paddy Dunning, has revealed that he's working to bring these unreleased songs to life. Now, what that exactly means, he's working with bands like BTS, apparently. So it truly is going to be a tribute album. Now, how much do we really like that? I'm not quite sure. And what does that really mean? I also don't quite know. But I don't know. It might be kind of interesting to tap into that era and what was going on with his work. Is it going to end up being an album we like? Not sure. Charlie Thomson, let's jump in with you because I know you have some thoughts around this.
I think it all just sounds like a lot of old bullshit, to be honest. I mean, it really is one of those things where it's like, I'll believe it when I see it. You know what I mean? Because it's a bunch of songs Michael basically had little or nothing to do with, being recorded seemingly without any involvement from the estate. I would be amazed if this ever comes out. If it does come out, I'd be amazed if it comes out with Michael's name attached to it anywhere. And it sounds destined to be a catastrophic flop if it does come out, which I don't think it will.
Yeah, do you think the estate would just stop this?
Yeah, they have a track record of blocking things that other people are trying to do as tributes. Catherine Jackson's book, they blocked. Then you had the documentary about Michael's final photo shoots, which for no apparent reason they blocked. Mm-hmm. Then you had Marcos's film, which they refused to cooperate with. So they don't have
the family's tribute concert they were trying to do in Wales, I think it was.
Oh yeah, there was a one before that, wasn't there? Jermaine's one where he had Natalie Cole and some other people signed up to participate. They blocked that. Yeah, they don't like anything that they are not directly profiting from. I get that. I understand it. But this whole thing sounds absolutely pie in the sky. Mm-hmm. I don't even really believe that the names that they're claiming are attached to it. Yeah. As I say, I'll believe it when I see it.
I agree with everything you're saying. The only thing I might add that's kind of also interesting here is there's apparently going to be an accompanying documentary, which also might get blocked, but maybe if it doesn't include any music or anything, maybe we would see that, which, I'd be interested in seeing. But again, we may never see it. Who knows? MJ Vibe will keep us posted.
It is super weird. I mean, Michael was in Ireland for a very brief amount of time. He wasn't, I don't even know if he was recording anything vocally. Like, people were coming to show him ideas that he was considering. He kept working with the people that he wanted to work with later on when he went back to Las Vegas in about 2008 era. I don't know why anyone would really want an album of rejected songs that Michael wasn't interested in. To me, this is the definition of scraping the absolute bottom of the barrel.
That's what I was thinking as well. This is not something that I would be interested in, and I can't imagine too many others would be as well.
And yet it is a time, I think, that kind of captures, at least for me, it captures my interest in terms of what he was doing. So I think maybe the documentary is the thing that wins out for me if that happens, but it probably won't. So we'll hope for that. But again, probably won't happen for all the reasons you guys have said. So moving on to our next item, and Charlie, I'm going to have you jump in and talk about this item because I think you're the best one to speak on it. The Financial Times has just done a big piece reporting on the Michael Jackson estate paying $2.5 million in a bid to settle sexual abuse claims. Charlie, can you jump in and kind of give the recap on this story? It's been an ongoing news item, but there have been some new developments.
Yeah, I really don't understand the point of this new Financial Times story because it is basically just a rerun of the story that they already ran a year ago. So just over a year ago, we were talking on this podcast about how the Financial Times had run an interview with John Branca in which he had revealed that in 2019 or 2020, the estate had done a lifetime rights deal with 5 individuals who had threatened to make allegations against Michael if they weren't paid. The Financial Times story revealed that those individuals were paid a sum in the region of 20 million between them, and that those payments were going to be dispersed over a 5-year period, and that just as the 5-year period was about to expire, they had come back and demanded another $213 million and threatened to breach the existing agreement if they weren't paid it. So what this story in the Financial Times is saying is the estate paid $2.5 million. Well, that's actually the last installment of the existing agreement. If you read through the FT story, by the time you get about halfway down, it becomes clear they're just telling you that the final installment in the payment scheme that they already reported a year ago was paid. So it's a total non-story, to be honest. It's a very bizarre decision to run a story about it, and it feels a bit like clickbait, which is actually unusual for the FT and slightly cheap for them. But there are some updates on the Cascio front. So, of course, the individuals involved in this situation are the Cascio family. We know that now because they have retained Mark Geragos as a lawyer, who, of course, was Michael's initial lawyer in 2003. When he was facing the Arvizo allegations, and they are now trying to breach the agreement that they signed with the estate and sue for more money. So essentially what happened was in 2019, amid the Leaving Neverland fallout, the estate sent an email to a whole bunch of people that had been young friends of Michael and had defended him over the years and said, is there any chance you would be willing to defend Michael again, because we're taking a lot of heat over this Leaving Neverland reality show. And the Cassios responded to that by requesting a meeting. This is all per legal papers that have been filed, public documents. The Cassios responded to that request by demanding a meeting with lawyers for the estate, where they said, you have to come and meet us beside a swimming pool in a swimming costume so we know that you're not wearing a wire and recording us. And then at that clandestine meeting, it was intimated that they wanted money, and if money was not forthcoming, they might make allegations. And so the estate ended up doing a lifetime rights deal with them. So essentially, it bought the rights to all of the Cascio family members' life stories. There, it was a multi-million payment per person to be paid over 5 years. It added up to about $20 million. And essentially, they signed away the rights to their life stories, so they couldn't do interviews, they couldn't make a movie, they couldn't write any more books. The estate owned their life stories. When it hit the press that the estate was about to sell half of Michael's publishing catalog for about $600 million, they suddenly, just as the deal was about to run out, the final payments were about to be dispersed under this original agreement, they came back and demanded another $213 million. The estate responded to that by seeking to initiate a clause in the deal that they had signed, which said if there are any disputes after this agreement has been signed, the parties cannot sue one another. They have to seek remedy through arbitration. It's quite common in contracts. It's actually the same as the clause in the HBO contract from the Bucharest concert, which the estate ended up using to deal with HBO over its involvement in Leaving Neverland. So essentially, when they entered into the agreement in 2019-20, they stipulated that if there were any future disagreements between them and the estate, it would be dealt with in private arbitration, which is basically where you take your decision to a judge in private rather than in a public courtroom, and the judge makes a decision. So the Cassios are now saying, well, we were forced against our will to enter into this $20 million agreement. We were precluded from meeting a lawyer, showing the contract to a lawyer. We were held over a barrel. It wasn't fair, and we deserve a lot more money. And so they are now essentially asking a court to decide, do we have to abide by the terms of the existing agreement and go into arbitration, or will you nullify the existing agreement and allow us to sue for a much larger amount of money? There was a decision that was due on that about 2 days ago at the time of recording, on about the 6th of November. I think it was the 6th of November. But on the 5th of November, the court uploaded an update to its website saying the court has decided it cannot accommodate this hearing at this time. We're pushing it back for a month. So now the decision is due to be debated and possibly reached, I think, on the 3rd of December. So we will have to wait until early December for whatever the latest update is on that fiasco.
Something for the Christmas episode.
Yes, and thank you as always for your amazing summary on that, Charlie. You are able to make these things so accessible and easy to follow in a way that I never can. So we appreciate that. We'll see what happens in December for the Christmas episode, as you say, Q.
Just the Cassios doing Cassio things.
And speaking of the Cassios, the never-ending story lately, there's also a new report regarding Frank Cascio and our other Charlie, Charlie Carter. You have some thoughts around this and have spent time with it. Would you like to chat about this news item?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't spent too much time on it because as soon as I see the word Cascio, I roll my eyes into the back of my head and then can't read anything in front of me anyway. But Frank Cascio apparently tried to release a story recently about his side of the story and how they were, strong-armed into making this agreement. And it got completely overwhelmed by the fact that the trailer for the biopic was released. And there's a good article on MJ Vibe about it. So I'd probably just point people to have a read of that. But I don't understand what the Cascio family are up to. There's evidence of them defrauding the Michael Jackson estate and the public, which can be detailed in Damien Shields and Dan Villalobos' podcast, Faking Michael. I don't know what the Cassios are up to, and part of me thinks that they don't really know either.
Well, what they're now up to is, in that article, Frank Cascio basically is saying that because he has dyslexia, he wasn't able to read the documents properly, and that's why he signed an agreement that he never should have. And Marina Cole Port is saying a similar thing, not about the dyslexia, but she's just saying that she, was kind of coerced into signing them and should never have.
Well, I mean, it's interesting that Frank whinges about having dyslexia and not understanding what was in front of him, but he still had the ability to release a book just over a decade ago detailing his friendship with Michael Jackson, in which, by the way, he says that nothing untoward ever happened. So, yeah, this is what I mean when I say I just don't know what they're up to, because how can you put something out there in writing saying one thing and then try and claim hundreds of millions of dollars saying the complete opposite?
Q and Shawn, we haven't heard as much from you two. Did you want to chime in about this at all? Otherwise, I'll move on.
No, I've got nothing nice to say about that family. Bunch of clowns.
You don't have to say anything nice.
Good, because there's...
Bring back the Q rant. Q rant.
Nothing nice to say, that's for sure. They're just being their usual characters and dodgy ourselves. So that's it from me.
And I agree, Q. And the other side of it as well is, why bring Geraghost into it? What's he thinking in all of this?
Geraghost last in the press, by the way, before this, being sanctioned $100,000 for unprofessional conduct. And then in September it got overturned. Just saying.
Have we ever told the listeners that we got Geraghosted?
Yeah.
Oh, we have. Okay.
Yeah, but I like the story, so let's remind them of the character that Frank Cascio has chosen to represent him.
Agreed to an interview and just made us wait for how long, Charlie? Like, I don't know, an hour or something? Just never showed up.
So a few years ago, we approached Mark Geragos to appear on our annual Vindication Day episode, which is released on the 13th of June every year, which is the anniversary of the not guilty verdict in Michael Jackson's trial. And Mr. Geragos responded to us and said it would be an honor to come on the show, and he looked forward to speaking to us. So we arranged a time and a date with him, and we all joined the link and were waiting for him, and he never showed up. We messaged him, never got a response. And so we were Geraghosted, and that was the last of the contact we ever had with Mr. Geragos. But I don't think it was in any way connected with this, because it was long before he became involved with the Cascio situation. I think it's quite likely that it was because he found out that I know Tom Mesereau. He was not very charitable in his book. He was clearly bitter that Michael fired him a short way into the 2003 case and replaced him with Mesereau. But he wrote a book, and in the book he said that Michael Jackson was so obviously innocent that a first-year law student could have won the case, which was obviously intended to undermine the excellent work of Tom Mesereau, but somewhat makes a mockery of his new position representing people who are accusing Michael Jackson of abuse. So I do fail to understand how this is not a gigantic conflict of interest, to be perfectly honest. I mean, he was not only Michael Jackson's lawyer in an abuse case in which he was saying Michael was innocent, but later wrote a book reaffirming that Michael was innocent, has given interviews saying Michael was innocent, has spoken about allowing his own child to spend time at Neverland, and also Frank Cascio was indeed an unindicted co-conspirator in the case in which Mark Geragos was representing Michael Jackson. So it does seem like an astronomical conflict of interest, and I'm not really sure how anybody could argue that it's not.
So this is just yet another example of yet another family, yet another former employee who at one point talked about how Michael was completely innocent and these charges were completely false, and they're turning their back on him once again. So at some point, you would hope the public will begin to see the pattern here and these stories will start to go away.
We will hope so. Any other comments on that, guys?
Only that, as discussed in our recent Faking Michael Roundtable episode, even our own co-founder here, Jamon Bull, had quite an extensive conversation with Eddie Cascio in which he volunteered, without really being asked, that he'd spent many occasions in Michael Jackson's bedroom and nothing had ever happened to him, and that Wade Robson was a disgrace when he started making allegations. So there is quite a body of evidence out there which is very, very damaging and undermining to the Cascios and their new claims.
I know sometimes we've talked in the past about concern that if this case develops into a proper civil trial, that because finding Michael guilty is only a coin toss, it only has to be slightly more than 50% or whatever it is in a civil trial. We've had concerns about that in the past. But, when you look, if you were just to sit down with somebody who didn't know much about it and point out all the things that the Cascios have lied about, maybe it's not too much to be concerned about. These guys have a clear track record of actually lying and being proven to be liars. Surely a jury would see that.
Well, it depends, I think, on whether you end up with a Cascio case or whether you end up with a Cascio, Robson, and Safechuck case. And then you have Cascio, Robson, Safechuck, and then Blanca Francia, Jason Francia, Adrian McManus, Ralph Chacon. Once you start adding all of these people on top of each other, it would be difficult, I think, for the estate to win a case on the civil burden, because the civil burden is the balance of probabilities, or the more likely than not premise, essentially. So if the juror is 50.01% sure, so basically if they think Michael might have done it, they're relatively convinced he might have done something, then that is a guilty verdict in civil court, which is outrageous, but it is what it is. Whereas in a criminal case, it's beyond any reasonable doubt. So once you start adding all of that stuff on top of each other, it's going to become a problem. We just have to wait and see what the decision is on December the 3rd and what the consequence is of that decision.
Yes, curious to see how that plays out. So moving along to some other interesting legal issues, this time related to Paris and the estate. Paris, who I think really is in many ways turning out to be a little bit more of the wild card in the family, in I think important ways in this case, has filed a formal objection against the executors of the MJ estate over legal fees she believes are being mishandled. And in this case, we're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars. Her filing points out an amount of $625,000 in payments for uncaptured time. So, I mean, we'll have to, what she is hoping, and she's actually trying to put a hold on payments, ongoing payments. What she's hoping is that there can be further scrutiny on what's really going on to, in terms of gratuity, gift basically payments to lawyers, and just kind of trying to figure out a money trail and where the money from her father's estate is really going. I think this is important work. We all have our worries about the estate, and not that many people in the world really can call them out in this particular way. So I personally commend her for taking this really seriously and to taking this to these steps. But what do you guys think? Let's hear from you.
I think also agree, Elise. I think it's something that should be done. They should be watched carefully. They should be held accountable, and they should be able to prove where money is coming from, where money is going to. Like, that's really a basic thing. And for like Paris, who is, quite successful in her modeling field, to be, calling this out, I don't think that's suspicious at all. And again, like I agree, she should be commended for it. So good on her. Hold them to account. Absolutely hold them to account.
It's her inheritance, and that's what she's supposed to do. And I just I have a feeling that she probably, that's a full-time job, probably be a full-time job for her for the rest of her life, in terms of just making sure that the estate is doing what they're supposed to do and paying out the money that they're supposed to pay. And it's unfortunate that she has to do that. But when you're talking about billions of dollars like this, that's just something that she's going to have to do.
Yeah, I think it's also interesting to see how this plays out in terms of Paris's life. I mean, look, of the three kids, she's really probably had the most tumultuous public life. And she just, as we know recently, she ended her engagement. She's always got a lot of personal things going on. I really commend her for being vocal and making this happen and calling the estate out when no one else really can or will. But I just wonder what kind of picture maybe the estate is going to try to paint of her. I mean, we'll see what is to come and how this, what ripple effects there might be for her personally in her life. But yeah, I hope she stays strong with this kind of stuff, because I think it's really vital work.
I'm definitely not president of the estate fan club, but I'm going to strike a slightly different tone here. I mean, we are talking about a multi-billion-dollar estate, and within the context of that, we are talking about a few $100,000. And whilst it's not small change to us, it is small change to the Michael Jackson estate. It does feel kind of like a waste of time, and also slightly miserly for somebody who is the heir to a multi-billion-dollar fortune to be picking these kind of battles. And I do wonder what kind of advice she's receiving and where this is coming from. And I think it's part of a wider dispute that seems to be brewing between not only Paris and the estate, but Paris and Prince. So Paris has unfollowed Prince on social media. I don't know if people knew that. And she's also been very critical of the biopic and said that this is a biopic for fans who are still living in a fantasy. And she also ridiculed her brother for trying to be a big shot producer in Hollywood. So there's a bit of ugliness going on here. And I do wonder what's at the root of it and what it's really all about and who is in her ear. It's a bit sad to see, because it does seem to be a family dispute as well. I did notice that in response to Paris's complaints, the estate mentioned that it has paid to Paris to date $65 million. And I know Paris is the heir, but I would venture that she's doing a lot less work than the lawyers. And it does seem kind of petty for somebody who's received $65 million to date in inheritance to be raising these kind of complaints about payments to the lawyers who are generating all the money that's paying that $65 million. So I do kind of look at it in a slightly different way, and and wonder what the true motivation is here and worry about where this is coming from and where it's going.
Yeah, I actually think those are all incredibly valid points. To me, it doesn't bother me so much about like versus what she's made. To me, there's still a fundamental, like, we need transparency about where the money is going. I think just from a business perspective level and handling someone's estate, I do think that is important. But no, I think you make some very important points there too. And I think there is something bigger brewing that maybe cause chaos later. And what's the cost of this? You're right as well. It's like, what does bringing all this up and spending the estate's time, what are the ripple effects of that? What is that taking away from? Who's pro Paris and anti Paris in this group?
I guess I still want to unpack the whole fans living in a fantasy land about the biopic. So I really want to know what angle she's taking with that comment.
My take on it is a little bit, I don't know. I'm kind of leaning towards defending Paris here. Like, yes, we had mentioned on a previous show, I think, that Paris had unfollowed Prince. That doesn't necessarily mean that there's a war brewing just because you unfollow someone on social media. They still have each other's phone numbers, I'm sure, and I'm sure that they'll have other ways to contact each other if they want to. They're their own people. They'll go their own way and do their own things. As for the estate saying how much they've paid Paris, I mean, I don't think that that's really anyone's business other than Paris and the estate, or, you know, between them, I should say, even though it is a astronomical amount of money, and you might have the opinion that, okay, you're getting paid that much, maybe just shut up and take it. Well, no, because at the end of the day, I think the Jackson children have made it pretty clear that they care about their father's legacy. And if something's not quite right in their mind, I think they've got every right to speak up and protest about it. And the other side of it, I wonder as well, just how much resistance Paris has towards the biopic. Has that played any part in the biopic potentially ending in the era that it does? Because if Paris has said she doesn't want to be involved in the biopic in any way, well, she's probably not going to be happy if there is then a biopic that dramatizes her as a character. So the Jackson children clearly won't be characters in the biopic because it ends before they were born. I mean, we all know it's more to do with the legal obligations around the Chandler allegations. We know that as a fact, but I also wonder if the fact that the children aren't particularly, or Paris isn't particularly supportive of the biopic, has a part in why she's not going to be a character in it.
I don't know if I want to explore it in this episode, but what, Shawn, you were talking about before about the comment Paris made around fans being in the fantasy land.
Yeah.
Well, obviously we haven't discussed that on the show yet, and I haven't seen commentary in the community on it because I'm not on social media, but I could imagine that there would be some nervous people around based on that particular comment and where Paris's current stance is on her father, because she hasn't clarified that comment as far as I know. You know, we know that she is friends with the Cascio family. That's a fact. She is. And I guess there would be some cause to be nervous around that comment, but without her clarifying it, it's hard to jump to any conclusions. You know, this film, one of the things that's in the media at the moment when you read current articles on the film, and it's so hard to actually make a decision or read into this only having a teaser trailer, but it seems to be pretty clear that the estate in this first film are not going to address the allegations because it finishes at the Bad Tour. And therefore, the film is going to be a very celebratory, music-focused, career-focused biopic. And so there won't be an opportunity in the film, I guess, to discuss Michael's decision-making. And, you know, as much as I am a massive fan of Michael Jackson, of course I am, and I know that there's no evidence to point to his guilt. To me, it's clear he did make some foolish decisions in his adult life in terms of the amount of time he spent alone with children, especially after being accused of being a pedophile, and the vulnerable position he put himself in. I am hoping that that's what Paris is talking about, his decision-making, not anything more than that. But without clarification from her, we just won't know.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I was thinking as well. But I know just from being in the fan community that there are just some fans who think Michael Jackson is perfect and he's not worthy of any criticism whatsoever. And so when I read that, that's where I went in terms of, there's just some fans where you just can't make any negative comments about him. The criticism about his decision making is not up for discussion. When I saw that comment, I really wanted to unpack that a little bit, because Jamon, you're right. That's exactly where I went. That, he wasn't a perfect individual. He made some horrible mistakes in terms of judgment, people that he had in his inner circle, and that came back to bite him, as we all know. And is still continuing to haunt his legacy. So I kind of want to believe that's where she was going with that.
Shawn, can I ask you something?
Mm-hmm.
When she made those videos and put them out on Instagram, there were quite a lot of African American fans who were upset, in particular, when she referred to the biopic using the phrase "not my circus, not my monkeys." And they felt that it was a racially loaded statement. It was inappropriate. I just wondered what your response was.
As someone who uses that all the time, I didn't take it that way, because again, it typically that that saying is regarding something that's in chaos. So clearly, I think she was referring to the fact that she has, and she made a point of saying she has no input. She has never had any input. She directed her comments at Coleman Domingo, like, I don't even know you. So I never took that as a racist comment. Again, that's something where that I've used often. A couple of weeks ago, as a matter of fact, about a particular situation. So no, I didn't take that to mean anything racist. But it also could have been, a playful reference to Michael and Bubbles. And
I'd forgotten about the whole Coleman Domingo thing. There was another thing where she very clearly was trying to publicly distance herself from the biopic and make very clear that she was not involved in it.
That surprised me that she took the approach that she did toward him. So I don't know. There sounds like there's some behind the scenes things that are happening that we're just not privy to, and it's really bothering her.
Yeah, and you just have to think, if she's having this massive feud going on, it's clearly bubbling to the surface. And if she's being asked, as you see, the whole family is being asked to be just very, very supportive of the biopic and congratulating Jafar and all this stuff, and all of them have done that. They've all put their posts up, which I totally understand and get. And she's, this is her pushing back and not doing that. So I just think there are, like you said, we can't quite know the full story of what's going on underneath. I just hope it doesn't explode into, the family falling apart in bigger ways. On this exact topic, we have just gotten some breaking news. A listener and friend of the show has just texted me in our group an Instagram post from Belinda Dileo, which I'm just going to have to read this. It's a short post, and this is another, this is detractor of the estate. She says, "Just wanted to put this out there. I will not be watching the Michael Jackson biopic. I know a few people have reached out to me about it because the trailer just came out. The head of Michael Jackson's estate, John Branca, has spent the last 14 years since my dad passed away trying to erase my dad from Michael's legacy. He has instead inserted himself into the narrative. True fans of Michael will realize this and hopefully call him out for it. My dad can't be erased. He's not a main character, but he was an essential part of Michael's rise to stardom. I wish nothing but the best to Michael's children and his legacy, but I will never forget what my dad and Michael's relationship was. It was filled with love, respect, and on my dad's side, protection of Michael, no matter who he upset in the process. I will continue to remember the great times my family shared with Michael, regardless of whether they are recognized in a movie." Reactions to that.
Well, I'm not sure how Frank Dileo was protecting Michael when he involved himself in the sale of the Cascio songs to Sony and the estate, would be my first reaction. But my second reaction, I think, would be that, Michael met and worked with so many people in his life. The idea that it's some sort of snub or attack if you are not included in the biopic, I think, is just for the birds, really. We're probably not going to see Matt Forger depicted. We're probably not going to see all manner of people depicted. We're probably not even going to see Taj depicted. There's so many people that unless they're absolutely essential to the story, you've only got so long to tell the story, and people are just not going to make the cut. So I do think it's a bit of a kind of egotistical rant, to be honest. I would just mention also another detractor, drum roll. No one's going to be surprised. Karen Faye.
Sure, yeah. Any other reactions to that Instagram post? Jamon, did you have anything to say there?
Not really. We actually have, other than to just give a little bit of MJCast backstory as well, but we have, Belinda is somebody we also have spoken to in the past about coming on the show at various times in our talks with her way back in, say, seasons 1 to 5, when it was, Q and I doing it. She was talking with us about coming on. It never went anywhere, but maybe there's hope someday in the future. She would have a lot of stories, I'm sure. She was eyewitness to a lot of, things in Michael's life. And I believe she even said at one point that she's got access to her dad's memoirs that he was writing before he passed away that never came out. So I think there's a lot of things to discover through talking to Belinda. And I hope she does decide to talk about her story one day.
On that front, too, that makes me think about the biopic and the stories that are not going to get told. And I wonder if it is going to motivate more people to come out and tell their stories, be it on a place like the MJCast or somewhere else, once that film is released. I think it'll be interesting to see what other voices we hear.
But I also think it points out how John Branca is intentionally leaving people out who disagree with him or disagree with the estate. I mean, potentially leaving out Janet, Randy, and Reby because they were vocal against the estate is one example.
Well, it is John Branca's world, so yeah.
And we all just live in it, right?
So moving on to a few other events-related news items, which are just kind of fun mentions that unfortunately none of our group got to attend any of these, but we still wanted to give a little shout out. We had some great events happen these past couple of weeks in both LA and New York. So first of all, there was the This Is Thriller event, which was in Los Angeles on Halloween night. And this is, I believe, the second year they've done the This Is Thriller event. This is the Heal LA Foundation with Prince and John Muto put this on. This is a fundraiser. It does benefit children in LA and homeless programs and like food programs, things like that. They're really a great organization. So they have been doing events. Most of their events so far have been at Havenhurst, but they've started these This Is Thriller events, which are at the Palace Theater in downtown Los Angeles. I sadly have not gotten to go to either one. Last year I was supposed to go and had an emergency as I was driving there and had to turn around and go back to San Diego. This year it was on Halloween night, and I have a 3-year-old who's really into Halloween, so I could not leave her. I am hoping maybe in the next year or two I can bring her to some fan events. But what is worth, I think, just giving a little shout out about what This Is Thriller this year is kind of nice is they had 4 of the original Thriller zombie dancers reunited. One of them was Vincent Patterson, who is, fantastic, and we get to hear a lot of his story on social media and our podcast and other places. They also had a few other folks, including Casey Cole Lance, Lorraine Fields, and Karen McDonald. So, my goal is maybe we can have these people on a future Thriller Night episode of our own. But it looked like a great event. If any of you were there, we would love to hear about it. I think this is an event that's going to continue and just seems to be a lot of fun, and it's a really great way to celebrate Halloween. Charlie, you have not gone to any of the This Is Thriller events yet, right? You didn't go last year?
No, I've not. I was last in Los Angeles for Halloween in 2022, which was the last year of the Havenhurst party. So I've not been back for Halloween since then.
Which will happen again, 2027, I believe, is the year, right?
That is the current plan, of course. That's a long way away and things can change.
Yes.
But yes, I think the plan is to only do the Havenhurst Halloween party on every 5th anniversary of Thriller now. So the next one will be 2027 and then 2032.
Did I read something about the This Is Thriller event being the last time they do that?
At the Palace Theater? I didn't think so, but I didn't see what you saw, so maybe?
I'll dig it out and try and find it. I thought that was the case. But anyway, on a separate note, I would love to get across to one of these events one day. They always look fun. I know that a friend of mine, Marie, she went over for some of that this year as well, and she had a great time, took some great photos. Yeah, they look like really good fun, and I hope I can get over there at some point and actually meet you in person, Elise.
I know. It's going to happen one of these days.
One day. It's only you and Jamon to go. And Shawn, of course. Of course. I've got to get over to meet Shawn.
Of course.
One interesting thing, too, about the Heal LA events I want to add is this year they were sponsored by the estate. And I think also Tom Mesereau, Forest Lawn were all sponsors. There's a bunch of sponsors, of course. But I think it'll be interesting to watch the further development of how, Heal LA and the estate kind of work together going forward, because Heal LA has been a really great group to support because, of course, they do really, really genuinely important work that I love to give my support to. And they've always kind of felt a little bit like still kind of their own independent thing. But I just wonder over time if they get more and more kind of entangled with the estate, what that might mean. Maybe nothing. I'm not sure. I don't know how much influence the estate has over these events, but might be interesting to see how it develops. And then also on that, an event front, which also none of us got to go to, so we'll keep it very brief. Kingvention has really been making the rounds. They, did their London event this year, and they also did a New York event in late October. They had Diana Walczyk, of course, who created the history statue, the mold for the history statue. And that original mold was at the event, which was pretty neat. There were some great photos of that. Also, Stephen Paul Whitsett, the photographer who we've also had on the show, as well as Diana, was there. Great guy, beautiful photos, wonderful human being. Please check out these episodes we have in our archives with them if you have not heard them. And also music executive Dan Beck was there as well. Looks like a great event. Looks like it was really successful. People said they had a lot of fun. Kingvention in LA, which happened a year ago and which I went to, was a lot of fun, but not very well attended. So, I'm curious to know about how they felt the New York event was in terms of attendance and support, and how the future of Kingvention might look in the U.S. marketplace. Yeah, we'll have to see. I mean, in London, it has a long life in London. And Charlie, I know you've gone to Kingvention multiple times on your side of the pond.
No, just once. I went for the first time
just
this
once.
year. Yeah, I was.
Oh, you're right. Oh my gosh,
Kingvention
yes.
virgin until this summer.
I forgot that. Yes. But interesting event. They always bring in good people. And I have to say, I mean, look, we get a lot of our news from MJ Vibe, their whole team. They're very hardworking. They know all the players. Got to respect them. So thank you, Pez and team, for doing what you do.
Yeah, it seems like there's some really cool stories from that. The MJ Vibe article details actually some of the things that were talked about there, and it would have been great for the people that got to go. So Diana Walczyk apparently showed people test footage of the gold history statue that we see on the cover of I think it's the history DVD, the second history DVD that came out way back in the day, for those of you who remember what DVDs were. That showed test footage of that gold version of her statue apparently jumping off its base and dancing, which was considered as being used as promotional material at the time. It wasn't. Dan Beck, who was a Sony executive, apparently showed never before seen footage of Michael in the recording studio recording They Don't Care About Us, but not apparently, I don't know how this works, but apparently it wasn't the original recording session. It was after the album had come out and he was recording the censored version, which I'm confused by because I thought the censored version was just the original with some sound effects over the top of some of the words. But anyway, that's what the MJ Vibe article says. I'm not sure what that means, but it would have been cool to see that footage anyway. And apparently there was a panel that also discussed how Sony was planning on marketing One Night Only, the concert that never happened. I think it would have been great to hear that, especially to hear the executives' reactions to Michael's collapse and how they had to pivot and all of what their in the moment reactions were when Michael pulled the pin, basically. So we haven't really heard from any listeners who went to Kingvention, but it sounds like some very interesting topics were discussed.
Just want to add huge respect and commendations to the team that set up and create Kingvention. It would be a Herculean task, especially in cities that they don't live in. So for the US events, I can't imagine the complexities of that. But yeah, just huge respect to that team, and just I really wish every success to them, because they're doing stuff again, like just like they're doing the heavy lifting instead of the people that are paid to do the heavy lifting. It's fans doing the good stuff. So yeah, big salute and well done to the Kingvention and the MJ Vibe team, which is a terrific news source that you folks use a lot. And yeah, it's the place of the moment to get the news. So yeah, huge respect to the team.
100%.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know how they do it all.
And they just lovingly referred to Frank Cascio in their latest article about him as Sugar Tit. So
we get a little sass on the side.
Love it.
Channeling their inner Mel Gibson. Well done.
No, they really do a lot. It's great. And would love to hear from some of you who were there. So please share your stories.
Have we mentioned yet on any show that the London version of MJ the Musical is closing at the end of February next year? So it will have been in London for 2 years. And then it's going to instead go on a national theatre tour. So anyone that's wanting to get to the West End version, because probably the touring version will be missing some of the elements that are not easily transportable. So yeah, anyone that's wanting to go to the London version, whatever the current final date on sale is, I think it's the 28th of February. It's near the end of February. That is the last day it's closing, and Beetlejuice is going to be moving into the Prince Edward. So get your skates on.
On that topic as well, MJ the Musical is currently in Melbourne. So Melbourne, there you go. You did get something in this episode after all. And I believe that it is also leaving Melbourne in a few months' time, and it will be going on to
Brisbane.
I can't remember. Brisbane.
Yep, a short run in Brisbane, and then it's heading over west to Perth.
There you go. Brisbane and then Perth. So Australia, it will pretty much be completely covered. Probably around about the same time that the London shows wrap up as well.
Q, have you seen the musical yet?
No, I was hoping in just the most recent rosters I've had, some red eyes over to Melbourne, which would give me a good time, like in Melbourne, only like a day, but still I was hoping to see it. There was one time where I was actually really sick, so I had tonsillitis, so I didn't do that trip. And then I'm off on vacation shortly, and I did have another Melbourne red eye, but I had to put a trip swap through to not do that trip and do a different one, because that was scheduled to get me home on the evening that I fly out later, and it was just cutting a little bit too fine for me. But I still want to go and see it in a beautiful, stunning theatre palace, which Melbourne has.
Yeah.
So my hope is to see it in Melbourne, but I'm sure that I will also see it at least once in Perth while it is here for the run as well.
Yeah, so it's currently at Her Majesty's Theatre in Melbourne, as exclusively revealed by the MJCast. Fig Jam moment.
What does Fig Jam mean? You put that in the chat. I don't know what that is. You keep saying Fig Jam.
I may have mentioned this in the previous episode, but we recorded an episode just directly before this episode talking about the trailer for the biopic, and I described it as John Branca having a Fig Jam moment, and Fig Jam means I'm good, just ask me.
Right.
So that's the acronym. It's surprised you haven't heard of it. It's a very Australian phrase. But anyway, yes, MJ the Musical is in Her Majesty's Theatre in Melbourne till March. Then it moves over to the Lyric Theatre in South Brisbane. And then from June 2026, it will be at the Crown Theatre in Burswood, Western Australia. So there you go.
Awesome. Well, I'm jealous that you guys get the show for so long in your cities, because I only got to catch the touring version very briefly.
Well, as we mentioned earlier, if anything or anyone is coming to Australia, you can't do it for 5 minutes. So when you book your 6-week trip to Australia, they've got to make sure that they capture your viewership as well.
Okay, well, that was all fantastic. Thank you guys for all your insights and getting us caught up on the news. And I know we had a lot to catch up on there, and it's great to hear everyone's perspectives. So at this point in the show, we have a little bit of, it's not a little bit, it's an important announcement and a little bit of a change with the show that I have some bittersweet feelings about, but I want to dive into this. So, Jamon Bull, founder of our show with Q, you have some changes coming up in your life and your part you're going to play in the MJCast. And I think I want to hand this over to you to have you tell listeners some decisions you've made lately and what the next coming season is going to look like. I hand this over to you and go for it. Let us know what's going on.
Thanks, Elise. Well, yeah, I've been sort of, to be honest, dreading this moment for a very long time. It's been in the works for a while, most of the season, really. And the crew's all been very wonderful, helping me work through this and these feelings. But really, for the last year or so, I've been thinking about stepping back from the MJCast. And it is something that is going to happen. So there are a few reasons that I want to go through with listeners, but I want to start even before saying anything else. That is that the show is going to continue. So my number one 100% priority through this whole process has been that the show can continue for listeners, and hopefully you will not notice too much of a change, because for the past year or more, we've actually, been having lots of people host episodes, and that's been very intentional because I want the MJCast to be bigger than just my voice, and I want it is its own thing, and I'm proud of that. And I want it to continue. So it's been going for 11 years now or something like that. And it started out with me and Q and Damien and TJ, rest in peace, as a little fan project, really, where we were just going to get together and talk about Michael and the latest developments in the Michael world. And I can't leave Charlie Thomson out of that story, because really Charlie's been there from the start too. Charlie was on episode 2 of the MJCast and has come back like nearly every episode since. So I guess the thing is, though, that things have changed a little bit for me in the last year, and I want to work through what those are with our listeners. So there's a few reasons. The major reason for me wanting to step back is primarily to spend more time with my family. Just to give a little bit of context, we put a lot into this show. All of us, everyone on this call puts a lot into this show. Hours and hours and hours. Charlie Carter, you're in the trenches at the moment right now with editing. So just the same as any of us, how heavy this is. And for the first 10 years the first 5 years of doing the MJCast, Q and I, we were releasing episodes every 2 weeks, and that put an intense strain on me and my family. And I am happy that I did that, because the show exists and it serves the community in a way that I'm so proud of. But it did come at a cost of me being able to spend time with my family. And I'm at a point now where my girls are a little older. So Olivia is 8 now. She's going into grade 3. Amelia is about to start kindy next year. She had her first kindy visiting day yesterday. And I want to be there for them as much as I've been there for the MJCast from now on. And I think, there's another story I haven't really told on the show, but my wife has been very sick for the past 3 years. Since she got COVID for the first time, she's been dealing with long COVID. She's had chronic fatigue syndrome and essentially has been housebound for about 3 years. And it's been incredibly difficult for her. And she's getting better now. And we're so happy about that. It's bringing us no end of joy in our family. And I don't want to waste that. Sorry. I just need to be there for my family more, is the thing. So there's some other reasons too, a little bit less important, I guess. But you know, we've gotten to the point of the show now where, you know, like it's 11 years in and we've done a lot. Like I've recorded a lot of episodes with special guests and, you know, people who knew Michael and worked with him. And I kind of have accomplished a lot of what I wanted to do. And there's so many more people yet to talk to, but I just don't think it needs to be me all the time doing it. You know, all of you do such an incredible job. So I just want it. I want it to be bigger than me. And I think the MJCast has grown to be its own thing. And I'm so proud of it. And it shouldn't stop. It's serving the community in a way that no other podcast does. And it can't stop because these stories are not being captured by the estate. They're not being captured. John Barnes is a great example. Jeff Margolis is a great example. People that the estate are not going to include in their biopic, but people whose, you know, their story is so critical to Michael's story. And I think we need to continue for that. But each time I do one of these episodes, to be honest, like it's becoming to me feeling a little bit more taxing each time I do it. I don't wake up in the morning anymore excited. Yes, I get to interview that person, which is a weird, hard truth, but it just is the truth. And I don't want to do that because the show will suffer. So I think it's important others continue to do that are as excited as I was previously. The most minor reason of all is that, unfortunately, I'm not interested very much in the biopic. I'm just not. I know that's weird, but there's just something in my brain that's like whenever I see an actor being Michael or an impersonator being Michael, I can't bridge the gap. I can't be in that space of, you know, suspending disbelief to enjoy it. So I appreciate that so many people in the community are so excited about the movie, and I hope it's everything that everybody wants it to be. And I hope that it does great things for Michael's legacy and brings on board a whole new generation of fans. But this is going to be the dominating news topic for I would imagine at least a year, because it's a 2-part film. So if there was ever a time for me to just take a step back a little bit, I think now's the time, because the truth is I'm not that interested in discussing it, but I am excited for everybody who's excited about it to discuss it. So yeah, that's they're the 3 main reasons. Elise, I hope I explained that okay.
Yes. Oh my goodness, Jamon, that was really beautiful and very powerful and made me feel a little emotional. I mean, this whole group can agree that you, through thick and thin, have been, I've said it many times, have been the engine of the MJCast that's kept it going despite all odds and despite difficult moments, which there are plenty. I mean, this is, you guys, podcasts are, this is a production. It's hard to put on. And I know we're not even putting out as many episodes as you and Q once did. Boggles my mind you guys got out 2 episodes a month. It is a lot of work, and it is a lot of time away from family, and it's hard. And I am just so in awe of the absolute dedication you have had to this project for so many years, and just the blood, sweat, and tears that have gone into making it happen. So, I mean, for me personally, it's hard. I don't know what next season is going to look like. I know we're going to do our very best. We're restructuring our team a little bit, which we can talk about in a moment, maybe, and trying to kind of disperse the responsibilities a little bit more so it's manageable for everyone, because it is hard for me as a parent of young children right now as well. But this is just to say that you have been an inspiration to me and to all of us, and just your commitment to this amazing project is more than I can ever wrap my brain or my heart around. So I don't know what we're going to do without you, but I also completely understand this decision, and I hope it gives you some breathing room to just enjoy being a fan also for a little while.
Yeah. That would be great.
Because it's hard. It's hard to just enjoy that part of it, right?
Yeah, without having to comment on it. But no, thank you for those thoughts. And I want to just also, you know, mention Q here, because, you know, we did some heavy lifting for a long time, Q, and you're the only other one who's been in the position that I'm in right now. So I'm probably feeling now what you felt, you know, 5 years ago or whatever it was. And that's been on my mind a lot.
I'm just so happy I get to be with you on this episode with like the old guard, and then Elise that came along, Charles Thomson that has been this pillar for us right from the beginning, and then Carter that came in to help so much with their editing and has really kept it moving forward, and then Shawn, who became part of the family as well, and then did I already mention Elise, who was just the fairy godmother that saved all of us when we needed it the most, and we've become friends, and a big part of the MJCast's legacy is the friendships, and you were instrumental in that. Not only the show, but a huge thing for the fandom, just catching up with people, meeting people, and the friendships, which, Michael did, but you've done with this show as well. So I'm so proud that even after I stepped back from full-time things like hosting and social media, that it kept going so strong and gave such incredible content to this day and moving forward. And that foundation that you put together was such a strong foundation that it is going to continue on. And that is something that I'm not only proud of as well as my little tiny role in that, but also what you have done and the team that you've put together, because it is strong enough that it is going to continue. And that is such a positive thing for the fan community, but also for Michael's legacy. So I'm just so proud of you for what you have done over 11 years. And saying that number is just wild. I'm looking at the little sticker here and established 2015. What? 11 years? That's mad.
I know.
Incredible.
I know. So thank you, Q, for everything you said. I want to just give a few thank yous as well, just real quick. I will say, I'll just jump in and say real quick too, that I am stepping back, but I want to see how I feel. So I want to step back for season 12. And then, if I get to the end of that season and I'm like, I got to get back. I got to, I might, reach out again and see if you guys will take me back. But
we will take you back. Do not worry.
The doors don't close. Just so you know.
I have my fingers crossed that you get a breath and want to come back.
Yeah, to be frank, I mean, you and I, I've said to you a few times over the years, come back in and do social media. So,
oh my gosh. No one can ever do social media like you.
It's a very different social media world now to back when we started. Social media now is hugely different. And I think where you're at with social media is perfectly adequate and fine and doing what needs to be done. So don't stress about that at all. But yeah, the doors don't close when you sort of step out of the room of the MJCast, and getting the little invites, every so often to, hey, are you free at this time? And no, yes, I am free then. No, yes. Getting those invites is always such a thrill. Mm-hmm. And having the equipment to do it, and the technology now, this Zencaster thing. I'm on an iPhone 17. The Rode microphone is plugged into that. I've got the world's oldest sort of corded Apple earphones plugged into the microphone, but this is so much easier than back in the first 5 years or 10 years. This technology now, mate, has caught up to make this so accessible and easy. I can't even imagine how it is when you get a guest compared to how it was for us with Skype and the editing,
sitting in the cupboard,
different tracks and things like that. So yeah, it's a different world compared to when we started it.
Yeah. Well, I do want to thank you guys, the core team. So Elise, Charlie Thomson, Charlie Carter, we have been in the trenches massively. We've put together some incredible seasons recently. This season is spectacular. Thank you for all you do day to day with the heavy lifting, because we're all in it together. So, and thank you especially for putting up with me and my crazy neurotic behavior sometimes. Anxiety.
You are silly. We love you very, very much.
Elise, my partner in crime, thank you so much for everything you've done for me personally. I've loved the friendship we've developed, and you're just an incredible rock of support, and you're just so loyal and an amazing person, and we've problem solved so many things together. I've just enjoyed it so much. Charlie Thomson, I just really want to thank you on a personal level for the friendship that we've developed, and I just... Paris was an incredible thing for me, one of the highlights of my life, and I just absolutely love the friendship that we've developed. And Charlie Carter, similarly, thank you for everything you've done to support the show, and I've just really enjoyed getting to know you as well and developing a friendship too.
Q, thank you for saying yes when we started this and spending so many years with me building it to where it is now.
It was an honor. Thank you.
To our extended, beautiful family, Damien Shields, James Allais, Dan Villalobos, for guiding the show around us. Shawn Shackelford, Paul Black, Jason Garcia, there's so many. John Cameron, Casey Rain, Ryan Michaels, Hannah Savage, Andy Healy,
Summer Habib, Annika Kotecha, Dane Thompson, Stefan Holly, Marnie Carlson, Ashley White,
Yannicka Vanderlyn. There's just so many people that are around the MJCast, and that's what people may not see, is you'll hear the finished product that comes together at the end, but there are just countless people around us that are guiding the episodes, giving thoughts, opinions, agreeing to be on episodes. It is just a huge circus, but it's great, and I'm glad everybody can enjoy the product that comes out.
Thank you to my parents, Stuart and Vivian Bull, who bought my first ever podcasting mic.
To the Jackson family, thank you for your trust in us, because I know the Jackson family have been burned many times over the years by people that want to talk to them with an angle, and the MJCast is not that. We are there to be a platform to honor the world's most amazing musical family, and it is incredible that Taj and his late father Tito and the whole family have trusted us, and we would love it if even more Jackson family members could come back on and tell their stories, because their stories are incredible and central to the success of the family and Michael's success. To Michael's collaborators, I'm not going to mention any in particular because there's hundreds and hundreds of them, but we are so blessed that so many of them have come on the show over the years to share their stories and again put their trust in us. We when we started it, probably didn't think we were going to do that very much, because we just thought it would be too big to achieve, but it's happened. And so there's so many more collaborators that we want to talk to in the future as well, and we appreciate their trust and willingness to come onto the show. To the listeners of the MJCast, thank you for all of your amazing support over the years. In some of my darkest moments, an email's popped up from a listener saying that they're in a country on the other side of the world going through something and that our show's getting them through. And that's like unbelievably inspiring. So thank you to all of our listeners who tune in every once in a while or tune in every time. It doesn't matter. We appreciate that. And lastly, to all of our partners and family members. We've all got partners or children and people that have to sacrifice and be patient with what we do, and that should never go unmentioned. So we appreciate that very, very much. I feel very lucky actually that you guys continue to do it. And in a second, I want to speak a little bit more about Shawn. It's not a coincidence that Shawn's on this episode, so we're going to get talking about the future soon. But I am so proud that the MJCast has grown to just be bigger than my voice, and that it can serve the whole community. The mission of the show is bigger than any of us. It's to collect and archive interviews. It is to provide up-to-date news and commentary. And it is to be honest and ask the tough questions and call out the crap when we see it. But all of us have a job and role to do to steward it forward.
If I might, I would be remiss not to take this opportunity, Jamon, to thank you not just for your efforts over the years with the MJCast, but to tell you should be really, really proud of yourself for what you've done, what you've achieved. At the end of the day, you started this as a fan of Michael Jackson and the Jackson family. And as we sit here today, you can call members of the Jackson family your friends, and people who collaborated with Michael Jackson know who you are based off of your work here with the MJCast. So you should be enormously proud of what you've achieved here. I personally first connected with you probably about a year and a half before I got involved. And at the time, you were going through a tough period, social media being the thing. You were getting some criticism, and I said, no, this isn't fair. I'm standing up for you. And I think that's probably where we first started to become friends. And then I'm very grateful to you about a year later that along with Elise and Charlie Thomson, you decided to take me on as the show's editor. And as a result of your actions, you've made me so many more friends that I never had before. I was never involved in the fan community before being involved with the MJCast. So I've been lucky enough to meet with Charles Thomson over in London. I've met Q several times in Perth and Sydney now and become very good friends with him. Online friends, obviously, with Elise and Shawn and many, many other members. Met Damien Shields a few times now, and we've become good mates. And that's all as a direct result of you starting the MJCast. That you can trace it back to that. And of course, not forgetting that off the back of all of this, Jamon, and your introductions, I can now class Taj as a friend. So I also have a friend in the Jackson family, which means a lot to me. So I'm really, really grateful to you. And we've had many a phone call over the last 4 years as well, discussing all aspects, including what you're talking about today. And the analogy that I gave you, I don't know if you remember, is that a few years ago, I was starting to get a little bit ready to stop playing cricket. But I was scared of saying if I stop, then I'll never go back to it. And as it turned out, I did stop playing cricket for about 5 years, and I started up again last year. So there's nothing to say that if you stop something, you can't start it up again. And I know that the door will never be shut on you at the MJCast. You are synonymous with the MJCast. And mate, we love you.
Thank you. Thanks. That means a lot.
Yeah, and I would like to echo those sentiments. And actually, firstly, just say I'm very, very, very happy to hear you say that your wife is getting better. I know that has been a huge concern for you and your family for a few years, and I didn't know that. So that's fantastic news. So I'm really, really happy to hear that.
We've been going out every weekend to restaurants, to the shops, just doing normal stuff again. And like to everyone else, that might just sound like that's not big a deal, just going to the shops. But to our family, that's just a monumental achievement for her to be able to go out and last like a couple of hours somewhere, but without, it is great.
Incredible news to hear that. I'm so happy to hear that as well.
Good deal. Good deal.
But equally, I'm gutted that you're stepping back, and but the good thing is, see, for the listeners, the MJCast is a show, but for all of us that are involved in it, it's a friendship group now. And I have met most of you in person, including you, Jamon, and, that's the most important thing, really, that's come out of the MJCast for me. And so although you're stepping back from the show, I'll still be bugging you all the time, and I just hope that you'll be back.
That is my only fear too, of stepping back, is us not all talking as much as we did. So please harass me as much as you have through text.
Oh, we'll harass you. Don't worry.
Mate, I'll be flying up to Brisbane. I'll knock on your bloody door.
Well, we've got a musical coming here next year to Brisbane.
Well, I don't know where you live exactly, but I'll knock on your bloody door somehow.
First of all, I just did want to add a huge thanks both to you and to Q for also just trusting our team to move forward with this project that is your baby. And it truly is for both of you. You along with Damien and TJ, this, you shaped everything about this. And so thank you for being, strong enough to also let go and see what we can do in the future. And I absolutely hope that you will not be a stranger in any way, and that we'll have both you and Q, you as well. You need to be a more regular voice this next season too, back on the show as guests, but not having to maybe to worry about all the logistics as much. We want to make it fun, right? That's always been the goal.
Absolutely.
Thank you to both of you, and Jamon, from the bottom of my heart, for all your support and friendship. You're an incredible person. And yeah, Charlie and I have had, Charlie Thomson and I have had our own phone calls, kind of emoji crying a bit over this whole thing, but it's going to be okay. And our friendship is what's at the core of all of it. But yes, looking ahead, as I mentioned earlier, we've decided to grow our team a little bit more, and you'll be hearing maybe more about that in the future, bringing on a little bit more editing support and bringing in some new voices. So on that front, Shawn Shackelford, who has been an incredible guest and co-host over the last few years already, we have really recognized that Shawn is, first of all, just an incredibly well-informed, knowledgeable, passionate fan who also knows a lot about, I think, areas that we don't often cover as much on the show, and brings insight and perspective that is incredibly valuable. And is just a really good guy too. So the reason we do have Shawn with us today is that Shawn is very much going to be a bigger part of the future of the show and of the season coming up. And we're really excited about that. So Shawn, I don't know if you want to chime in here and talk a little bit about your thoughts on that.
First, want to just say thank you for thinking so much of me to ask me to come on and be on the show a little bit more. I want to thank you for all your hard work in putting this podcast together, getting it off the ground, and surrounding yourself with just outstanding people. Elise, Charlie Carter, Charles Thomson, which, by the way, my wife is a huge fan of yours. Whenever you're on the show, she listens to you. So no, she's going to love this show, Charles. She's a big fan of yours. Q, you guys are outstanding. So I'm just excited for this opportunity. And Jamon, I just have to say, 4 years ago, it's my first time on the show. And, within hours of completing that show, I tragically lost my older brother. And, you dedicated that show to him. And, this show, and I'm getting a little emotional because, excuse me, this show really pulled me out of some dark times as well. So you mentioned it. People have talked about how, they've listened to the show and it pulled them out. But, you guys are always right on time with calling me and saying, hey, can you be on the show? And it was the perfect time for me over the last 4 years. And so this show has helped me. And I want to give back to not only the crew, but to the entire Jackson fan family as well. So thank you guys. I'm looking forward to it, and we're gonna have some fun.
It's gonna be awesome,
Jamon. We hope you will come back really, 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 really soon. Same thing with you, Q.
Let me know, bro. Let me know.
Thank you, Shawn.
Yeah.
And I just want to say as well, one of the main reasons that your name, came up as being a great person to be a host moving forward on the MJCast is because, you are able to bring a cultural perspective on Michael's life and his family's life that we just haven't been able to do over the years in a way that we want to be able to do it.
Yeah.
One of the other reasons we wanted to bring Shawn on board is because of how much experience he's had seeing Michael and the Jacksons live. Shawn, you saw the Jacksons live on the Triumph and Victory tours. You saw Michael live on the Bad tour in Michigan. Just incredible stuff and making all of us jealous probably. I know all of your stories are detailed back in our first episode that we ever did together. I can't remember what show number it was, but I remember it was titled "My Father Was Ready to Go," which was a little joke you made in the show about you were seeing, who was it, Rick James or something live?
Rick James and Prince opened for him.
Yeah, and
he was ready to go after seeing Prince.
We just appreciate that you're here to be able to talk about Michael,
Absolutely. And yeah, just a bit of a spoiler alert, but we do have an episode in the vault that will be released shortly that Shawn headed up about the Jacksons album Destiny. It is a fantastic listen. That's not an area of the Jackson history that I was overly familiar with, so I've been listening to the album all off the back of Shawn's enthusiasm for that. So looking forward to working more with you, Shawn.
Yes, same here. Thank you.
A lot of changes coming. Jamon, thank you for sharing all your reasons with us and the listeners. I know that there's going to be a lot of support out there for you in this decision. And again, we just hope you'll stay part of our circle and our world and come back frequently. In wrapping up this portion of the show, Jamon, there is one thing that I have to ask that we ask every guest on the MJCast, and that is, how should Michael Jackson be remembered?
Every time we ask this of somebody, I also think, am I going to get asked this one day? Just as we will all be asked this one day. I would say, okay, he first and foremost to me was a visionary. If I had to sum him up, I would say Michael was a restless soul who wasn't satisfied with any medium he participated in. Whether it be music or dance or film or technology, he was passionate about pushing forward whatever he participated in. He was a warrior for social justice, for anyone that was underprivileged, marginalized or hurting, and for the planet, our home. He was brave. In his early career, he challenged a world who was telling him and his family that they couldn't succeed. And later in his career, he bravely challenged the media, a machine designed to shame him. He was a healer. He clearly had a heart for young people who were in pain, having gone through what he did, a painful childhood. And unfortunately, people took advantage of this. And to summarize or to finish up, I would say he was a dad to 3 little kids. You take away all the hype and all the celebrity, and at the end of the day, Michael Jackson had to tuck his kids into bed at night. He had to read them stories. He had to make sure their teeth were brushed. He had to make sure they were keeping their grades up and to be present for them. I'm just thinking back to when I was in year 10 and watching the 30th anniversary concert on my living room floor with my family, watching an artist I'd never really seen perform live before on my television. And when my dad cheered for the Jackson 5 as they did their thing on stage, I was inspired to look up to Michael as well and his family, and to appreciate them and be a proud fan of Michael. But later in life, currently, he's inspired me more as a father, I think. And I can appreciate now in his last, 10 years, him putting his attention more on his family than his recording is that's recently been a source of strength to me in thinking where I want to go now. So, yeah, a father.
I love that. I don't know if anyone else has expressed his fatherhood in quite that way. So thank you for that. That's beautiful. But truly, truly, thank you. I love you dearly as our friend. Our friendship has just been so important and crucial to me these last many years. So thank you for that. We are not quite done with the show because we didn't want to end it on this somber event and just all end up in a wet puddle of tears. We do want to lead into a little bit of a fun piece of the show. We want to do our finds of the week, which is extra fun because we do have Q here. So let's jump into that. Jamon, would you like to start?
Okay, so my find of the week is really, really short. It's actually a snippet from the Motown 25 rehearsal. If you follow the link, listeners, on YouTube, you'll be able to see it. It only goes for literally I think it's not even 30 seconds or something like that. But it is a clip of Michael rehearsing with his brothers, and they are getting ready to do, I think it's I Want You Back. And Michael's in jeans and a tucked in, relaxed collared shirt. And he's vocalizing the piano part that leads into the song. And it's just awesome. It's just like the brothers on stage just joking around, and it looks so relaxed and so awesome. And I feel like I don't know if any more of that clip has ever come out, on a documentary or something like that. Please tell me if it has. But that just shows me that because that 15 seconds or whatever it is, 30 seconds exists, there's a very strong likelihood that they taped the whole rehearsal. And imagine watching that. Imagine watching the Jackson brothers rehearsing for Motown 25, joking on stage. We have not seen that kind of side of Michael and his family very much at all. We always see the finished product. And so I guess I wanted to include this as my find of the week because it's hopeful. It shows us that in the future, there is so much that is still yet to come, especially from when Michael was working with his brothers. Or, just think about the hundreds or thousands of hours of, unseen rehearsal footage of the guys together getting ready for shows. There is so much that we could still yet see. And I don't know about you guys, but that's the stuff that excites me most about Michael, when he's a little bit more relaxed and just, jamming out and singing. And I would love to see that.
I totally agree. It's an awesome clip, and maybe there is more to come. It'd be fantastic. Q, why don't we jump to you? That will feel like our old school way of doing things.
It does feel old school, doesn't it? 5 of the week. Cool. I've just got some little Instagram posts. Instagram's really the social media where I'm present on and enjoy the content currently. And so I've got 2. I'm being cheeky. I snuck 2 in. One's just silly brain rot fun, but it's like little clips of different things, including like Wendy Williams or like just fans and random bits of footage from movies about listening to the Dangerous album from Woe to Go, like in order from Jam to Dangerous. And it's just really funny. I know, I just thought it was so silly and funny. And I think that's such a positive thing for Michael on social media, is that he has become this icon that people can put these funny little things together, and it's just silly and brain rot, but it's entertaining and it was funny. So the link will be in the show notes for that one. The second one was actually one that I was going to include as my only until I saw that silly Dangerous one. But the second one, and I cannot think of the account name that put it out. I watched it last night to refresh my memory and it's forgotten, but
it's Vinyl Nights.
Vinyl _Nights _ is what it is, I think. Yeah, thank you for that, Elise. And prolific poster of vinyl music appreciation and just the cinematography of it, the vibe, the sound. He just is a terrific content creator, and this one just happened to be the Give In To Me off the Dangerous album as well, and just pulls it off the shelf and puts it on, and it's just like, I don't know, 30 seconds, a minute or whatever, but it's just beautiful. It just captures this really wonderful essence. So that's my little Give In To Me appreciation reel. It's always been one of my favorite songs. So, yeah, it was just a really beautiful Instagram reel. So, yeah, enjoy.
I love the Vinyl Nights posts are fantastic. They're so just like aesthetically and, musically pleasing. And I have to say with Give In To Me, when you went to see Brad Sundberg's events, did he have the Give In To Me segment?
Oh,
yeah. It's incredible. It's worth the whole going to the whole seminar for that. You get really blasted away by that song.
Yeah, I was in heaven. Yeah, that was truly a highlight moment to experience that. Yeah. So, yeah.
It's a lot of fun. I love these. And I'm all for brain rot. Mine's brain rot, and I'll get to that in a moment. But first, Shawn, why don't we jump to you since, yay, coming in as new official co-host. Let's hear from you next.
One thing that I'm most excited about was couple weekends ago in the city of Detroit. The city had a grand opening for the Ralph C. Wilson Centennial Park. And part of the lineup for that celebration was the Jacksons. And so they advertised a meet and greet. And I said, well, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and give it a shot. Packed up my Destiny album that I had Tito sign back in 2005 and in the hopes of getting an autograph. So I get down there and I get there right in time because I stood off to the side and I saw them, I saw Jackie in the golf cart going backstage. And I said, well, okay, well, I'll stand here and wait and maybe see Marlon. Marlon, I guess, had already gone in. But when I saw them backing out and I saw Brandy Jackson in the golf cart. And so I
cool.
took that opportunity I had my Destiny shirt on. I said hello to her. I showed her my Destiny shirt. And then I told her, I said, I would like to, I had, Uncle Tito sign my Destiny album. I'm hoping to get Marlon and Jackie's. And she looked at me and said, we'll get it today.
Oh,
and
wow.
So I was excited. And the gentleman who was setting up the meet and greet, I asked him about it. He said, well, there's a 50-50 chance. And I said, well, Brandy said I could do it. He said, well, Brandy said it's going to happen. Because they were only allowing pictures. So I'm in line. And what's so funny was I met another fan, Corey Shepard, who I met online. He's a part of the fan community. Some folks may know Corey. So recognized him when we were chatting, and I get there and Brandy was like, okay, we got to make it quick. And she took my phone and she took a million pictures, and Jackie and Marlon both signed my album. They were great guys. And I cannot tell you what I said to them other than I really love you guys. I really love you guys. I think I may have said that over and over again. Marlon, if you look at the pictures, I posted them online. He grabbed my jacket and opened it up and said, man, I love that shirt. Man, look at this shirt. And he said, I just love it. He kept going on and on and on about my shirt. And he said, Jackie, look at this shirt. Like, look at the color, man. I just love it. Where'd you get that shirt from? And he just wouldn't let go. He loved the shirt. And so he loved the shirt so much. He had one of his employees, open up. He said, open up your jacket. No, I want to take a picture of your shirt. So he had them take a picture of my shirt. And so it was just an outstanding event, and I had a great time. I tried to slip in there. I said, hey man, we just did about a 3-hour podcast on Destiny. And so, but Marlon just kept going on about the shirt. So I couldn't quite get a reaction. I couldn't get quite a reaction out of them. So it was great. I posted it on my social media. So I'm hoping that I didn't put Brandy on the spot. But she was phenomenal. She was great. So if Brandy somehow listens to this, thank you. I posted it on Instagram and tagged her in it, and she responded to me. And so, as usual, they were great people. The Jacksons are great people. So I was really excited about that. I've been on a high for the last couple of weekends or the last couple of weeks. So that's my story, Jackson's story. But then also my find of the week. There are 2 soundboard recordings from the Jacksons' 1979 Destiny tour. And then the 1981 Triumph tour on the YouTube account, Felipe Archives. And it's just, again, most folks will know that period of time in the Jacksons' career is just my favorite. And so to hear those 2 tours and to hear, Michael, the evolution, we talked a lot about that on the Destiny podcast, that, the evolution of Michael's voice and the evolution of what the things that he was experimenting with. And so to hear the difference between Destiny tour and then the Triumph tour, it was just phenomenal. So if you get a chance, take a listen to those 2 soundboard recordings. It's really funky. Especially with the Destiny tour around the 36-25 mark, where Michael is ad-lib and he's talking about doing it in the shower, doing it after hours, blaming on the boogie. It's just funky. And you don't hear, them perform Blame It on the Boogie again. So it's just really funky. And I've talked about this before, how, Michael sounds different when he's with his brothers. Most folks will think that, a lot of people believe that the Bad Tour was his best tour. But when you listen to these 2 shows, you can really hear how, funky it was and how different it was from his actual solo tour, the Bad Tour. So yeah, get it if you get a chance, listen to those two. And lastly, you also can, especially with the Triumph Tour, you can see how much of a perfectionist Michael was, because it sounds really different than the Jacksons live tour. So you can hear how he went back into the studio and he cleaned up a lot of things and they cut a lot of things out. So to hear it raw is just a treat.
Those are awesome finds, and I'm definitely going to check those out. Thank you so much, Shawn. And your story is so great. And I have to say, we were trying to schedule this recording we're doing right now, and it was really hard to schedule because a lot of different, parts of the world and time zones and obligations. Shawn, I have to say, when we originally had a possible earlier date for this recording, he said, well, I'm supposed to go see the Jacksons, but I don't have to do that. And I was like, you're going to see the Jacksons, and aren't you glad you did?
That's compulsory. That's you don't miss those chances.
That's it.
And it paid off.
I just need one more brother. I need one more brother to sign my Destiny album. So
I'll
work on Randy, and I'll figure that out somehow.
That's awesome. I love that. So now we'll skip to Charlie Carter. Tell us your find of the week.
So my find of the week this week, I know that we've spoken previously about impersonators and how it's not something that I'm massively keen on, and I think that's a view shared by other members of the team as well. But there's one thing I want when I'm seeing a Michael Jackson impersonator is accuracy, right? And I didn't mention it on the show at the time, and I really should have. But about 18 months ago, I was contacted by, and I don't know his real name, I'm really sorry, but the username at the time was Prince Jackson, or Prince Michael Jackson. And he invited me to a show that they were doing here in Sydney at the Enmore Theatre, and I went, and it was astonishing. And what I really love about him in particular is that his attention to detail to the moves. Some people will do their own interpretation of the iconic dances. His moves in particular were really good. So my find of the week is actually that he had to make himself a new Instagram account because his original was deleted or lost or something bad happened. And so he's got a new Instagram handle, and it's The Spirit of Michael. It's at The Spirit of Michael under the name Prince Michael Jackson. Prince, if you're listening, really loved meeting you. And he says he's a fan of the show as well. He listens into the show. So a shout out to you. I'm sorry it took me this long to acknowledge that on the show, but we have messaged privately, and I can't wait for him to come back to Australia. He was there with Pete Carter, was one of the other members of the act. Jeffrey Perez as well. Now, Jeffrey Perez's voice is outstanding. Now, we're talking about accuracy. His voice is outstanding. So that show was very, very entertaining. So that's my find of the week. Go and follow Prince Michael Jackson under the name The Spirit of Michael, because his Thriller dances recently for Halloween were absolutely brilliant.
Awesome. And Charlie Thomson, do you have a find of the week?
Yeah, before I do that, listening to Shawn's story has just reminded me of something that happened, which we never ended up talking about on an episode, but I do think needs to be addressed, which is that probably about 6 weeks ago or 2 months ago, the Jacksons performed at the convention for a far-right political party in Britain, which was an absolutely shocking thing to happen, and the fan community were absolutely up in arms about it. They performed at the conference for Reform UK, which is like the British arm of the MAGA movement, who are currently proposing deportations of legal citizens. And it was just an absolutely ludicrous spectacle to see the Jacksons on stage singing "All the Colors of the World Should Be," loving each other wholeheartedly, to an audience of people calling for the mass deportation of legal citizens, and just utterly disgusting. So I'm sure that they did not know what they were doing or who they were performing for, but whoever was responsible for taking that booking should be fired. And it's sort of been forgotten about now. It kind of, people were up in arms for about a week, and then it sort of just got buried. But Shawn has just reminded me of it, so I just wanted to mention that. So my find of the week is a curious one. So I'm just going to read you this quote. The quote is, "I love children. I love their searching and questioning. They remind me how fascinating the world is. It doesn't end. So I surround myself with children. Their curiosity ignites mine. The journey is its own reward, the growth of it. It's not wise to deny ourselves new experiences, new knowledge, and it can be damning to repeat experiences we've already lived. It's wise to learn once and seek new knowledge, and to recognize a familiar face, the same story in a different mask. Now, that quote comes not from Michael, but from the memoir of Kelsey Grammer, which I've just been reading, who I happen to be a big fan of, obviously because of Frasier. And I just found it very interesting. I thought, what are the odds that this other person who I'm a big fan of, I should be reading their memoir? And it's almost like you could have copied and pasted it out of any number of Michael interviews.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of also highlighted how probably if Michael had said the exact same thing in a memoir, he would have been slaughtered for it. But Kelsey Grammer says, I surround myself with children. No one gives a shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just found that very interesting. I've never seen anybody apart from Michael express that before.
I love that.
Wow, that's a great find, Charles.
Well, I'm going to take the finds of the week back to like 100% brain rot, and just to round out this section.
We need it. Some stress relief.
I know. Shawn, your amazing story. Charlie Thomson, little like somber, moment there, but also some beautiful stuff with that quote. No, I'm going to bring in my fave, Captain EO and K-pop Demon Hunters.
Yes. Yes.
Of course, we've seen a lot of this, like these little Instagram clips lately of like Michael Jackson, videos, like short films clipped to him dancing to different songs. Well, there is one from JP Drumma Boy. We'll link it in the show notes. That is a mashup of Soda Pop and Captain EO choreography. And I mean, actual clips from Captain EO. And it's just the timing on it is perfect. It happens just to be a really good one of these really stupid little videos. And if you want to just have a little fun moment, I highly recommend checking it out. I do have to add that my daughter, who is about to turn 4 and is getting really into Michael Jackson, I'm very excited. She watched the teaser trailer with me many times. I showed her this mashup of Soda Pop and Captain EO, and she said she did not like it with Soda Pop. She only wanted to watch Michael Jackson. And I have to say, even though I enjoyed the video, I was very proud of her. So.
She wants the authentic stuff only, untouched.
Exactly. The only problem we have right now, which I've mentioned to some of you, is she is getting Jack Skellington and Michael Jackson confused.
What?
But other than that, she is becoming a little Michael Jackson fan, and she knows the Thriller video very, very well. So I'm proud of her.
Elise, I just have to jump in and say that K-pop Demon Hunters is massive in our house at the moment. I saw it in the cinema last week. Oh my God, it was
I'm so jealous.
Incredible. I am Team Mirror, if anybody was wondering that.
Well, she has the best lyric in the whole movie. Fit check for my Napalm era.
So good. Yeah. And she actually, Huntrix, they just need to clean up all the Grammys. They need to get all the Grammys. They got nominated for 4 yesterday. And they just have to get all of them because they're the best.
Yay, K-pop Demon Hunters. We're going to start a little side podcast.
Yeah, let's go.
Anyway, on that very, very silly but fun note, again, just Jamon, thank you. The show is not going to be the same without you, but we are going to try our best and hope to make you proud. Same goes for you, Q. It's never quite been the same without you either, but always hoping we can put out a good show, and we will continue to work towards that. So in wrapping up, just want to let listeners know where they can find everybody. So Jamon, where can people find you now that you're not going to be on the MJCast channels?
I am only going to be in one place, and that is my Blue Sky Hobbit hole. So if people want to come to Blue Sky, they can find me at jamonbull.bsky.social. I don't want to be anywhere else.
I still haven't meandered over there too much, but maybe I will one of these days, since that's the only place you'll be. And Charlie Thomson, where can people find you?
I use Twitter for work. So if you're interested in court reporting from the east of England, then you can follow me on Twitter at CE Thomson. And if you're interested in seeing my holiday photographs once a year, you could follow me on Instagram at CE Thomson Journo.
Without the P.
With no P. If you put a P in it, you won't find me. And if you put a P in it and you email me, then I won't answer.
If you find it, you'll find the alter ego bizarro Charlie Thomson, a sports journalist.
There's also some old artist called it from the Stuckism movement. Does anyone know what that is? But anyway, his name is Charles Thomson, spelt without the P. And so if you Google me, he often comes up.
And Charlie Carter, where can people find you?
You can find me on Instagram at Alpha Charlie Photos, Twitter or X or whatever you want to bloody well call it these days is at Charlie W. Carter. And for any of you aviation geeks out there, get onto YouTube as well. It's at Alpha Charlie 6572. I was very lucky enough recently to be invited on the very first flight of the Qantas Airbus A321XLR, and I did a video review of that. So head over to my YouTube and check that out.
Q, where can people find you on social media these days?
Easily found and active on Instagram. So I think the handle is what was the Q2. But if you search for I am Q, I think that comes up as well. But what was the Q2 is the Instagram where I am active. Happy to hear from you. If you are going to follow me though, and this pretty much goes on any of the social media platforms, if you're going to follow me, send me a DM. So, and just tell me why, like, hey, I heard you on the MJCast, going to drop your follow. So appreciate that, because if I don't hear from you, I will just block you because you could be a bot and you haven't actually interacted at all. So that's all I ask. Threads, Blue Sky, Twitter, I think are all just what was the Q. I haven't actually looked at any of those for a while, but yeah.
And Shawn, where can people find you?
Well, if you're still on Facebook, I'm over there at Shawn Shackelford, and I am the administrator for the Jackson Music Club, and also thank God for the Jacksons. I am also on Twitter at SA Shackelford, Instagram at Shawn.Shackelford. You can find me on TikTok if you want to follow the adventures of me and my family. We are the Shacklefords. And then I'm also on Blue Sky but not as much, Threads.
And as for me, my personal accounts, I am pretty much only on where I'm actually active on Instagram and Facebook at Elise Capron. For the MJCast, you can find us at the MJCast across most social media platforms, including Instagram, Twitter /X, YouTube, Threads, Facebook. Facebook, you have to search for our name because they changed our page at one point and it's not actually on the MJCast as part of the URL anymore. You can also email us anytime at the mjcast@icloud.com. If you don't hear from us on email, feel free to ping. We get a lot of email. I try very hard to respond to everything. Sometimes it takes a little while, and sometimes I get overwhelmed. So email us again. We do love to hear from you very truly, and we read every letter we get. You can also find us at the mjcast.com, which has all of our episodes with show notes, including links to everything we talk about, as well as some other content too. We used to write some op-eds and things that are still up there and are kind of fun. We also have a link to a shop. We make some merch, which Jamon has made some beautiful merch over the years. And you can learn all kinds of other stuff over there as well. Also, if ever you feel you've really enjoyed an episode and feel inclined to send us a small donation of $5 or whatever, it goes straight to help covering our show running costs and really does help us over the course of a year, as well, stuff like keeping our website up, buying occasional new equipment, that sort of thing, occasional donations. So again, we love to hear from you. And please always feel free to reach out. We love to hear your thoughts, and they are very much appreciated. And I think on that front, guys, this is basically a wrap. I don't really want to wrap up because Jamon, what are we going to do? I don't know.
like the old days, isn't it?
Yeah.
Everything will be fine. You guys are going to be amazing. And never say
Yes.
never. In a year's time, maybe, who knows? We'll see what'll happen. And I do want to say, I'm not going to let things not, work. So like if we get 3 months down the track, this is not going to happen because I will trust you guys so much. But if we get 3 months down the track and things are stalling and something's wrong, something's critically wrong, something, an episode can't come out for whatever reason, just ring me. I will come back and grease the gears and we'll get things going again. So.
Ooh, well then, if you open that door,
then, like
I
I
might
said,
just come back begging either way.
MJCast is bigger than me, so it's got to keep going no matter what.
What's the login details, Jamon? We logged ourselves out. What are the passwords?
How do I add this person to the notes? Already asked those questions. Now we have really, really big shoes to fill and we're going to try our best. But yes, this is a collaborative, beautiful project that you and Q and Damien and TJ and Charlie Thomson all started, and so proud that we get to continue it on through thick and thin and in different versions over the years too. So let's see what happens this next season. I'm really, really excited. And with that, Jamon, I think you need to be the one to officially sign off on this episode.
All right. What do I say? Thank you and keep Michaeling.
That's a wrap, guys. Thank you so much. Take care, listeners.
Can I ask one request of you guys?
Mm-hmm.
One favor. This one is directed to Charlie Thomson. Okay, Charlie, I'm willing to bet you haven't seen K-pop Demon Hunters yet.
I've not, but there is a tit on Strictly Come Dancing at the moment who did do a dance to Soda Pop, which was just one of the worst things I've ever seen in my life.
Okay, so what I want you to do, this is non-negotiable, you have to do it. So between now and the Christmas episode, you have to carve out a couple of hours and you have to watch K-pop Demon Hunters, right? It's going to happen.
Hang on, what's it on? How would I
Netflix.
go about watching
Oh my
it?
God, you don't have... Okay.
I don't have Netflix.
It's
What
only
shame,
the
never
most
mind.
popular show ever on Netflix ever. But okay, so you have to watch that and then
I don't have Netflix.
Find a way. And then
Find someone who has Netflix.
In the Christmas episode, wherever you want to put it, in the show or a post show, I want a Charlie Thomson review of K-pop Demon Hunters.
Can I just say now, I know I'm not going to like it, and so there's no need.
No, okay.
I don't know. Actually, you might be surprised, Charles.
I saw the Spice Girls thing.
This is not Spice
Girls. They did a terrible version of something with the Spice. No, they did. The Spice Girls came on it, didn't they?
No, I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, am I confusing it with another show?
Yeah, you are.
Another K-pop show.
Yes, you are.
Okay, but I definitely have seen the Soda Pop thing.
You're gonna like it. I haven't met someone who doesn't like it. If you don't like K-pop Demon Hunters, something's wrong.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to, because I've never heard of it, so now I'm gonna have to watch it now.
What? Don't you work in a school, Shawn?
So we just moved. We built a house, so we just moved back in March, and so now they have their own TV upstairs in the loft. So they typically can watch TV, and I'll be downstairs watching the game or something. So I don't really watch what they watch now.
What about the music? Aren't the girls demanding Golden to be played on car trips?
You know, they don't. They have their own. Like my daughter has a phone. The other two have a computer. They have they bring their computer, so they use it just on their headphones, and they let Dad listen to real jazz on Sirius XM. So
Okay, so Shawn, we're going to expand this challenge out, and you need to watch it with your family, not just by yourself, with your girls. And then I want you to be in the review with Charlie Thomson.
Okay. I'm gonna actually, when we get done, I'm gonna go down and ask if they've, because I've never heard of it. So, all right.
Well, and Jamon, can we talk about the fact that everyone in your family is named after a character now?
Oh, absolutely. So I'm Bobby.
What?
I'm like the assistant who supports all the girls, and then my wife is Mira, and my eldest daughter is Zoe. And my other daughter is Rumi. So we're all a character in it. Our personalities just magically align with everybody in it somehow. So, yeah.